set it to record.
Okay.
I'm also going to edit our names
Oh, yeah.
because we still can't do that. Okay.
All right. Let's do this.
Oh, dude, seriously. Once again, rename ET. Okay. Okay, so welcome to our little conference. We're gonna have this is our pre-observation meeting between VT and me. First and foremost, let's pick a date and time to do this observation in a place. Go ahead.
Okay. I would say next Tuesday around 8:50 in the
Okay.
lab.
Perfect. 8:50. What time? What time should we go to? Like 9:15?
Yes, 9:15.
All right. Thank you. And can you tell me a little bit about the groups of students that you have? Possibly like how many IEPs do you have? How many ELs? Go ahead from there.
Yes, I believe there are 3 to 4 ELs that have not exited. There's quite a few that have been in the EL program that have exited, some just recently, I believe. And then there is one student on an IEP. I think there's possibly another student on either a IEP 504 or both. And keep in mind that I have 500 students a week.
All right,
so
Tanya,
I don't know exact.
I'm gonna stop you right there. We're gonna redo this. There's
How many do you
4
have?
kids with IEPs.
Are you kidding me? Who
No.
are the other 2?
I'll tell you later. Okay. Let's start.
Because you're re-recording, you said.
Yes.
You
Okay.
restarted. But
We're gonna do it again. Okay. Ready?
okay.
All right.
But it says recording right now.
I know. Watch this. Okay. So let's pick go ahead and welcome to our meeting, our pre-observation meeting between VT and A. Can we pick a place and time in order to do this actual observation?
I think next week would be a great time, Tuesday around 8:50 in the lab.
Perfect. Can you tell me how many students you have in your class that have IEPs?
Yes, there are 4 students with IEPs.
What about how many ELs do you possibly have?
There are quite a few that have actually exited the program, but so there's a few who have recently exited the program, and then there's still anywhere from 2 to 4 that I believe are still in the program. So still very cautious about all of the ELs.
How many, do you know how many students might have like a 504 or students who have experienced trauma in your class?
Yes, I would say at this point, the entire class has experienced trauma with the recent disruptions with COVID. So that kind of more so that's more on the academic side, plus all of them have different areas where we have to be conscious about their learning. But then more so also the SEL, we're kind of making up for the social emotional learning as well.
Discussing how you have ELs and IEP students, what sort of supports or modifications you might do to help your students specifically for this lesson?
I do usually write sentence stems if we need them on a slide. And then I also have like an expert board. So if students need help, the students who have managed certain skills or specific micro skills that they're going to need help with, they refer back to that board, and that's a system we've had in place. Sometimes I'll add, it just depends on the activity, I'll add the mote learning or mote recording to a slide. In this case, they actually will have some slides, and then I'll print sheets for the kids who prefer to read off the sheets. And then also I'll click on the accessibility feature in slides for some of those students. And then the 504, we actually have an aide from Resource who pushes in, and a lot of times usually kids will go to them, but in the lab setting, she actually will come into the room. So she'll be working with the 504 students.
Are you sure it's the 504 student, or is it a student with an IEP?
It's the student with the IEP, but she's really good. And so I kind of like strategically will place students so she can help them as well sometimes.
Okay, so you told me about the students.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about the learning objectives that are in this lesson and what is the student work that will be produced, or what student work product will be the outcome of this lesson?
Hopefully by the end of this particular lesson for this day, by the end, they will have selected, they will have known how much their decal, which is going on a shirt, will cost them, and they will have to choose based off of that cost. They'll actually have to choose the colors as well, because there's some differentiation. So they'll be doing some math with that. And that's one group. And then another group will actually have to do some research on this specific equipment and tools we need to press the decals onto a shirt. And then we have some kind of doing, I wouldn't call them trading cards, but they're going to have to select between several t-shirts, which ones are eco-friendly and have the least impact on Earth, based on, I'm kind of fast tracking and giving them links to the shirts, but it's kind of like they'll have to come up with like trading cards and be able to explain, all of these groups will be explaining this to the class, their choices, but they'll be making these choices. And then there's another group that will be working on how to eco-friendly dye fabric, because their project mostly is geared toward human impact on Earth and the engineering design process. So they'll have to work through that. So they have to, by the end of class, really have a decision on a decal, a shirt, equipment and tools. And there was one other thing, but for the most part, that's what we need in order to move forward.
Sounds like this is going to be an awesome, like, long-term project, and I'm excited to see what they're working on. But before I get into that, can you tell me what might be some prior learning that they needed in order to be successful on this project?
Yes, they have had to have knowledge of the engineering design process, design thinking. They've been learning a little bit of entrepreneurship, but not much. That's kind of more of the new learning, the entrepreneurship. They really need to know how to collaboratively work together. And that's kind of done through the 4 C's.
What are the 4 C's?
The critical thinking, communication, creativity, and communication. Hold on. Communication, critical thinking, creativity, and what's the last one? I can't think right now. It's there.
We'll have to go back to that later. All right.
Yeah.
So coming back to the last 4 C, but okay, that's good. Did they need any thing from their classroom teacher in order to be successful in this project?
Yes, I would say everything they do in the lab is application. So they will be applying the math skills. So it's the real world application of the math, the reading, the research, all of that's done in the classroom. And then in here, they have to actually be able to apply it in order to be able to come up with these choices. And the math part, there's a lot of math in here. There's a lot of research. They have to be able to formulate questions to research. They'll be writing in charts. So they did work on states of matter, which those will be going onto their t-shirts, but the actual process of creating the t-shirts is more of the engineering design process, and they would have had to know background knowledge in that.
So yeah, once again, it sounds like a great long-term project. I'm excited to see what's going on. And I could tell that the work will be evident at the end of the multi-week project that you're doing. But can we work on something that the students can specifically turn in to show on this lesson, to show what they worked on with you? I know that at the end of the project, we'll have shirts and we'll have plushies, we'll have lots of different areas, but is there something that we could do to show specifically what's going on for next week? I was just spitballing. What about like some sort of like Google form or something that they could put down what they did it with you in class, maybe what are their next steps, or if they have any questions for you, or even which of the C's, your 4 C's, we got to figure out what that 4th one is. Did they possibly use that day? Or do you have any other ideas that might help show what direct evidence is happening that day for the lesson?
They will have had to turn in some documents with the information that they've researched, but understanding what their next steps are and what they completed that day to understand if they're on task would probably be a great idea to have them do a Google form at the end. So
Look at that.
I'm just wondering, I'm just wondering if I should have them create, or if I should just have a pre-made. I think I'll just have a pre-made Google form and then they can just kind of fill it in and check it in. But I think it would probably be a great idea maybe to share it with their teacher as well. So their teacher can be in contact with, or be in connection with like students who are actually completing something in lab and maybe those who aren't.
That would definitely help. Also, what do you think about if you maybe made this first one and then the next go round, the class or students from the class create their own form so then they can take some ownership?
Yeah, I know the reason I was thinking for it to be pre-made is because I just don't know how long it will take them and if we're buying like time wise, but we can try it. We definitely can try it. They might be faster than I realize.
Hey, give it to couple kids, you know, GJ, so SMB, whatever. All right. So also so based off of what we discussed, let's jump into the CSTPs that you that best might align with this lesson. All right. So I'm going to read out some CSTPs. Does that sound good?
Great.
Okay. Standard 1, engaging and supporting all students in their learning. Standard 2, creating and maintaining an effective environment for student learning. Standard 3, understanding and organizing subject matter for student learning. Standard 4, planning instruction and designing learning experience for all students. Standard 5, assessing students for learning. Standard 6, developing as a professional educator.
I would say let's go with number 5, assessing student learning.
I agree with you on that one. I feel like that's probably a good focus for us, is to assess the students on their learning. And yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree, because I think it's hard for others if you can prove that they're actually, or you can show that their learning is being assessed in the lab, then others might value it more.
Yeah, that's honestly, I believe that too, because then we could actually prove the progress that you're making. We could keep track of what's going on, and the daytime or not day teachers, the homeroom class teachers could actually see the evidence of the learning that's going on. So I'll be observing you in that, and I'll be looking for the form or some sort of like turn-in system that we're going to have to check progress and see who's been messing around and who's actually helping and all that good stuff. Is there anything else you would like for me to keep an eye on during the lesson that you feel like you've been wanting support on?
Yes, usually this is a highly engaged classroom, but occasionally you'll get students who you'll find just sitting there. And a lot of times, so we've been working on what to do when you don't know what to do, kind of that self-regulation piece. And so we've been working on that. So you may see some kids who disengage, and we're so high paced in here that it's not always easy to catch them. So I'm curious to see if their off-task behavior aligns with their Google form for what they did, and if they're honest about it. So then typically what I would probably have to do is check those, and then I won't be able to catch the student until the next time to kind of have that conversation with them. So if you could help just by seeing if you notice any off-task behaviors, or maybe even how long they're off-task. Usually I can catch them, but sometimes it's a little while before I can get them.
Perfect. I love how this went, and a great pre-observation meeting. Looking forward to the lesson. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay. And meeting.